is Victor, and I'm going to show you how does the completeness metric named SCM relationships coverage work. The goal of this metric is to verify that the requirement specification contains all relationships selected in the configuration. The results of this metric will show if there are requirements in the specification that are not matching a specific relationship, thus providing the corresponding quantitative value for this calculation. At the end, if the requirement specification is not fully covering the relationships, a medium or low quality level value will be computed and an alert could be generated. In order to use this metric, at least two elements must be configured before it is used. Which models will be compared with the requirement specification and which requirement patterns will be used for analyzing the requirements with. These patterns are necessary because, as we see in the slide, we will compare the relationships selected in the configuration with the relationships generated from the requirements through these patterns. This metric computes its value calculating the ratio between the number of relationships selected in the configuration, which are not found in the specification, and all the relationships selected in the configuration. The return result is a number between 0 and 1 representing the completeness coverage ratio, the mean. 0 means that all the relationships selected in the configuration has been found in the requirement specification. On the contrary, a value of 1 means that all the relations selected in the configuration are missing in the requirement specification. For example, in this slide, you can see the selected relationship that we will want to verify with the requirement specification. In this case, we selected 5 different relationships. Now, you can see the requirement specification that we use to explain this metric. There are 5 requirements. As you can see, the requirement specification only have 3 of 5 selected relationships in the configuration. Finally, the incompleteness result of this metric is 30%. This specification is incomplete. Now, let us go to work with this metric in the requirement quality analyzer. Firstly, you need to select the worksheet that we want to analyze. Here, you can see the same requirement specification that I explained in the example. Then, what we are going to do is configure the metric. To do this, go to Workbook Configuration and click on Completeness. Now, we are going to create new SCM metric. What do you need to create this metric? Okay, the name of the metric. Then we need to select the relationship that we want to make sure that are contained in the requirement specification. For that purpose, select the corresponding view to show the System Conceptual Model, in this case composition view. Then we select the same relationship that I explained in the example. In this case, bicycle, electric power system, frame, front set, gearshift, and wheel. Here you can see a summary for the relationship that we selected. And finally, we need to select the pattern group that we are going to apply in order to analyze the requirement specification. Also, we can enable or disable this metric. We can allow this metric to be assessed on the fly, and we can put a filter for the requirement specification to apply it, but this is not relevant for us. We accept, and we have the metric configuration done. Now, go back to quality control and completeness metric. We will calculate this metric to show the results. Here, we can see the value of the metric. The value is low because the low range of the metric is 0.3 to infinity. Remember that the user is able to change these ranges. Let's go to show the details of the metric results. The first chart that you see tells us how requirement specification in completeness is. We can see that there are two relationships selected in the configuration but not found in the specification. On the other hand, the other three selected relationships were found in the specification. We can click in the chart and see the different relationships that are generated. There are different options to show the relationships. In this case, you can see two relationships that we selected in the metric configuration but were not found in the requirement specification. In the other option, we can see the three relationships that we selected in the metric configuration and were found in the requirement specification. In the second chart, we can see how incomplete the metric configuration is. Why is it incomplete? Okay, if we go to the orange option, we can see that the requirement specification generated two relationships that we didn't select in the metric configuration. If you want, you can show the requirements that generated this relationship. The last chart shows how many requirements are covered in the metric. If you click in the green section, we can see the requirements that generated one or more relationships that we selected in the configuration. In the last option, we can see three requirements that didn't generate any relationships. Finally, in the last tab, we show how many requirements match the filter that we put in the configuration metric. In this case, we didn't put any filter in this metric, so that we can see all the requirements in the first option. This is all from SCM coverage metric. Thanks for watching. Bye.